Hey guys, this is Neil with Catalyst Machine Works, and I want to talk about some questions I've been getting. A couple of questions I've been getting. They center around what you can fit inside of the Merica frame. There's two components. One of them is new and one's been around for a while. The one that is relatively new is this Lumenier VTX that just came out. If you haven't looked at this guy, go look at it on our website. It is pretty awesome. And I have got that mounted inside this frame. I'm going to show you how I did that. Then the next big question I get is the Crossfire, right? So Crossfire long range setup. You're looking at one here on this on my transmitter, and I have the receiver for that mounted in here as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is take off the four screws here and move the canopy out of the way, and then show y'all how that's mounted in there. Okay, off camera I took out the four screws. I'm going to peel back the canopy. Go this direction. Okay. And looky there. Oh, I forgot. I've got to clip this wire. Or I'm sorry, the zip tie. There we go. There we have it. Okay. So, the way I've got this thing mounted in is it's basically free floating. You can see this VTX. One of the cool things about this VTX is that it comes with this, I think it's called an MMCX connector. So it is a vast improvement over the UFL, and it's one of the reasons why this VTX I think is going to become pretty popular. So the way I had to mount it in is just free floating, and it actually works pretty well. What you have to do is the back of the thing sits down in the recess, and then the front is just kind of sitting over this lip, just like this. Okay, and then the hole in this top plate just keeps it all located. Sorry for the loud sounds. There's people over there doing wild stuff. I'm not quite sure what the hell they're doing over there. What are you doing in my park? Get out of here. I'm trying to make a video. Let's get this thing to focus here. Right, so that's how that thing works. Now, the antenna, what you have to do with the antenna is it's going to come up and out this little slot. So there's a little slot in the back, and you basically just, once you get it in here, when you're putting the canopy on, you just turn this guy up and out that slot. And it actually works really well. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, here is the trick, okay? This is the trick. This is what I found out drinking around with this thing, is that, as you can see, this is a race flight board. And race flight comes with those little grommets, right? Well, those grommets take and they push the board down some, right? So they move it in this direction some. And the problem I was having when I was using those grommets is that it was just sort of smashing down this VTX, and I couldn't get my canopy down all the way. And so what I had to do is I took out those grommets, and then I just, just used some nuts to fasten the flight controller to the canopy. Now, because this particular canopy is a TPU, you don't really need those little rubber grommets for this thing. You can just run it without, and you'll be just fine. And so that affords you enough space that all of this can fit. Now, if you have the other type of canopy that we're selling, which is a nylon canopy, we call it a Mayday canopy. That one, obviously, it's not TPU, so it doesn't have built-in vibrations, anti-vibration in it. But luckily, with that canopy, the flight controller sits farther up. There's a bigger recess in that canopy. So I've tried it, and you can mount a race flight board with the grommets in the nylon canopy and fit this in here. All right, it does fit. It's tight, but it does fit. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the receiver. Okay, the receiver for the Crossfire setup. Now, a friend of mine, Trey, he mounted his receiver in here, and that can work for you if you're using another type of VTX. Let's say you're using a Unify, you can fit the Unify up here. This one is a little bit longer. This VTX is longer than the Unify, so you can't fit it up here. Okay, so the only place you can fit, if you're using this VTX and you also want to use the Crossfire, the only place you can fit that Crossfire is up here. What you have to do to get it to fit is you have to run it. It's pretty long. Okay, it actually just barely fits in here. I don't know if you can see it, but the plug for it, you can just see the plug in there. So the way I've got this running, I'm too lazy to take off the flight controller right now and show y'all. But the way that it's running is it's straight like this, and the plug end is here, and the end with the antenna is coming out here. And what you actually do, if you can see it, is you have the antenna sort of routed out that little slot, and then it routes back under the flight controller, and the little antenna I've then routed up through these tubes. It actually works pretty well. I know that, you know, this particular orientation in 3D space where you've got these tubes and then where it's locating these antenna, it's not ideal for super long range, you know. So if you wanted to use this setup to go and do some long range flying over mountains or whatever, maybe you better consider doing something else with your antenna. But if you're just going to be racing and doing normal freestyle and whatnot with your Crossfire setup, and having a very confident signal, I'm pretty sure that this setup is going to work just fine for you. And that's what I'm using mine for. So that pretty much sums it up with regards to those two questions that we've been getting. Look at that, that's all splayed open. It looks like a FPV autopsy right there. My goodness. I guess I'll mention real quick about this new setup I'm building. So this is kind of exciting. I'm doing another one of those, look at this. This is a 2207 1850. I'm sorry, 2507 1850. I'm used to saying 2207. This is the Avenger motor from Brother Hobbies. This is just an awesome motor. Look at this thing. It's a beast. It's a beast. Look at that. It's huge. But anyway, so this is another one of those high voltage, low kV setups. So this is going to be a 6S setup. I'm using the Bolt ESC, and we're going to see how this thing works out. I mean, this is a higher kV than I ran on my last rig, which was a 1660 kV. So the battery's probably not going to do as well with this guy. But anyways, it'll be a good comparison for me. I was trying to go and find a motor, you know, that's a bit higher in the 1800 kV range, and really this is the only one that made a whole lot of sense. Plus it should be a whole hell of a lot of fun with this GoPro up there and these very powerful motors. So I'm really looking forward to testing this. I'll let you guys know how the testing went. The reason I'm doing this is I'm on the hunt for the quote-unquote ideal KV setup or KV rating for this 6S type racing setup. And so that's what I'm trying to find out. So I'm testing some different motors and whatnot. Anyways, so I've become long-winded again. The video's too long. Hope you guys weren't too bored, and I hope that answers some questions.